Welcome to Buffalo Pregame, your source for live Buffalo football discussion, news, analysis, opinions, and more. Presented by ASM Publications and Bills Digest.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Buffalo Pregame. I'm your host, Alex Brasky, here for Bills Digest and ASM Publications. On today's show, more James Cook drama from Bills training camp as the Bills' top running back held in for the fourth straight practice. Yes, it is a confirmed hold-in on yesterday's pod. I was a little bit confused whether it was a hold-in or a hold-out, but despite some confusion, we heard from Sean McDermott and Josh Allen speak on Cook's presence within the meeting rooms and also during walkthroughs. So it does appear as if it is indeed a 4-day hold-in for the Bills' top running back. And like I said, the first comments since this hold-in from Josh Allen and Sean McDermott to the Bills media, and we'll dig into that and their reflection on Cook's contract dispute and how it may impact the team moving forward. And we'll also dig into Buffalo's upcoming preseason game. Yes, preseason football is already here as the Bills take on the Giants on Saturday. They've hightailed it out of St. John Fisher University in Pittsford, New York. A few Bills I saw, Patrick Moran of Talking Buffalo, taking or I think he was actually retweeting a picture of some Bills getting some Pittsford dairy on their way out of Pittsford and before they head west down the 90 back to the friendly confines of Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park. But before we dig into it all here on today's episode, let's first discuss a little bit of promo material. Please subscribe to Buffalo Pregame on YouTube as well as wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe on the audio side. That would really be a huge help. Also, ratings on the audio side. There's links to it underneath my previous pinned post on X, the previous podcast, and I'll make sure to get it up there underneath this pod as well. So please subscribe on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, like this stream on YouTube, please. Watching on YouTube really helps us, also helps the comment stream as well. As you can see, we already have one who showed up early. What's up, Sean, my man, tuning in for the second straight day. So make sure to follow along on YouTube, follow along on Substack as well. We had an article up today about James Cook and his continued hold in at Bills training camp. But let's get into it. James Cook's hold in on the field on Sunday, a little bit on the field on Monday. Tuesday, the team had a day off. Wednesday, complete no-show. And then again on Thursday, a complete no-show. And a bit of drama, I guess, stirred up by the Bills head coach saying, quote, "Everything for any player is I expect every player to practice every day. You know that remains to be seen whether or not he's going to be here or not, but I'm hopeful he will at some point be here." So not really any shots fired, and I don't think it even raises to the level of the Stephon Diggs comments that he made a few years ago, the quote-unquote very concerned about his absence from training camp. I believe it was training camp or mini camp, one of the two. So it doesn't seem to raise to that level, but still a little bit of drama created by those comments saying that he has expected Cook to be here, and he's really kind of left it unknown whether or not Cook will be out there on the field through his pre-practice comments previously. So this was a little bit interesting hearing it from Sean McDermott. He expected Cook to be at practice. Cook was indeed not at practice for the fourth straight day, extending his hold-in. But McDermott did say, as I mentioned before, Cook has been in the building and the facility there at St. John Fisher University, going through the team meetings, going through walkthroughs with the team. So he's taking those much-needed mental reps. And I think at this point of James Cook's career, with the success he's had the last 2 years, that's really all you need at this point. You don't need a running back out there during the preseason, much more than a few snaps. And even that, I think, is wholly unnecessary. So put him on ice for now. We'll see if things kind of cool off as things seem to be heating up a little bit between the team and Cook in terms of maybe some bantering back and forth, but nothing to be alarmed about. And we don't know what's going on behind closed doors between James Cook's representation and Brandon Beane, who has continued to maintain that the negotiations are ongoing. But at the same time, he's also maintained that they don't need to get a deal done now. They can wait until the end of the season. And I don't think James Cook wants to wait. I think that's what is being proven through this hold-in. He wants to get a deal done before there's any chance of injury when he's on the field, when the bullets are flying. But as of now, it's a stalemate. We'll see if anything gets worked out before the first preseason game and kind of where it goes from there. Tom Pelissero continues to report that the two sides are close, but at the same time, the longer that this extends, the less that seems to be the case, and the more that seems to be, like I've termed it before, kind of agent speak from Tom Pelissero, just kind of being the quote machine for some of these agents that provide these insiders inside information. I'm not in any way deriding Tom Pelissero or undermining the job that he does. I think these insiders are incredibly valuable. They give us the information in streamlined fashion for the most part, kind of all over the place with the number of them. But if you follow their timelines, they do a nice job. And Tom Pelissero is certainly one of them. But at the same time, I think there's room to question the validity of some of the stuff that these guys report and whether or not it's a true report or whether or not it's doing something in good faith toward the agent. And I think we'll see how that proves out in due time. And I've said it before. I think James Cook saw Micah Parsons request a trade. And by the way, I'm seeing reports that Micah Parsons is now taking a page out of James Cook's book, the Cookbook, and not participating or being on the field at all at Cowboys practice on Thursday. So something to follow there. And whether or not he remains a Cowboy, that's a really interesting national story. I don't think Cook's hold-in raises to the level of concern that Micah Parsons' hold-in has taken on. But you've seen the ripple effects that has sent throughout the league. And I think James Cook and his representation wanted to cause some drama, wanted to get the people talking about his situation and his quest for what he's claimed is a $15 million quest. You saw a few days ago, Kyron Williams of the Rams signed for 3 years, $33 million. I think that's a good number for James Cook. I think that's a fair number for both sides, and I think the Bills would agree to that number. But it remains to be seen if James Cook would agree to that number and take less than what it seems like he's been asking for and what he's claimed he deserves this offseason. And then the other thing I think James Cook, as I said yesterday, saw was Khalil Shakir's injury, and that crop up during the return of the blue and red, and that brought up some alarm bells for the Bills' top running back as well. So I think he wants to stay healthy. He does want to kind of create a story here as well to get maybe some support under his cause. So we'll see how things turn out there before the team's Saturday 1 p.m. matchup with the New York Giants. I don't think that anything's going to get worked out before them. I've said that I don't think anything will get worked out before the regular season begins. And as kind of this hold-in continues, I think more and more chance for this thing to get ugly. I'm not saying it by any means that we've reached that point yet. I don't think that we're in ugly territory between James Cook and the team, but I think the longer that something like this goes on, the more chance there is for some feathers to be ruffled. As I've said before, you've seen it before with the Stephon Diggs very concerned comments. That kind of got the whole ball rolling with Diggs being dissatisfied with the team and wanting out of Buffalo. So I'm not saying, as I said, that we've reached there in that point quite yet, but this is something absolutely to monitor. And Josh Allen talked about James Cook's absence after practice and said, quote, "It's no doubt that we all want him out there with us. I've got no say in what goes on behind closed doors, and I'm a big advocate of everybody getting theirs and getting paid. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And that's kind of where it's at." And then he was asked about the impact that it's had on the team at practice, and he replied, I mean, guys going out, it's no different than Khalil being out with an ankle. Guys are stepping up, making plays. It was good for Ray to get some of these reps and get on the same page with Ty again, who I think is our best third down back in the game, just gives them a couple more opportunities. So something interesting there. They clearly view Ty Johnson as a valuable piece to this offense. And I don't think anytime soon you're going to see James Cook warrant a 3-down workload, a 55, 60% share of the snaps. They have a three-headed monster at running back, and you see it there with Josh Allen's comments. They really value Ty Johnson's contributions and what he does as the team's top third down running back. But Josh Allen also added James is who he is, and he's one of the best running backs in the league, and it'd be crazy not to say we don't want him out there. We desperately want him there with us, and hopefully something can get done. He went on to say that Cook has been in the meetings, as Sean McDermott said, and also acknowledged the business side of the game, saying that, quote, this is generational stuff. It's wealth for you and your family. And if you look on my X page, that's exactly what Cook's family, I think, is thinking. You see his big brother, Dalvin Cook, giving his seal of approval, retweeting one of my tweets that encapsulated what Josh Allen just said there that I described on the podcast. So I think a lot of that is well understood, but at the same time, the way that James Cook has gone about this entire situation just leaves you a little bit befuddled that he was there for all the mandatory stuff until about 10 days into training camp. So it's a little bit confusing. Maybe that the reason is that a deal is close, and I'll eat my words. And if they get something worked out before the start of the preseason or the start of the regular season, perhaps, but it just doesn't seem that way to me. And although his quarterback, head coach, and GM seem supportive in the media, there's also been some comments that kind of hint at the fact that, hey, we need you here, and if not, we'll kind of move on. Sean McDermott saying that very verbatim earlier, that we have to move on as a team, and that's what they've done with Ray Davis, Ty Johnson. You also have Darrington Evans, Frank Gore Jr. in the mix there. I'm not saying those are intriguing prospects, but hey, if Cook is going to make this thing last, you're going to have to do what you have to do. But enough James Cook. Let's dive into a more interesting topic, and that is the Bills preseason game coming up against the New York Giants on Saturday at 1 p.m. And we'll also give a little bit of review of training camp as well, but I really want to save that for tomorrow's episode. I'll give you some of my standouts. I'll also post on my Substack my standouts from training camp, maybe some letdowns as well. The old Sal Capaccio, arrow up, arrow down. So be sure to stay tuned for that on my Substack account, which is free of charge. Just go to Substack, subscribe to Buffalo Pregame with Alex Brasky. You get all the updates from Bills practices. I'll aggregate those from different reporters and breaking news, and everything you need to know on the daily about the Buffalo Bills can be found on the Buffalo Pregame with Alex Brasky Substack account. And remember, that is free of charge. So read about James Cook and read about much, much more. I'll have another article coming out very soon on the Buffalo Pregame with Alex Brasky Substack page. All right. So the Bills' first preseason game coming up against the New York Giants, I already mentioned, 1 p.m. on Saturday. And really the top storyline for me going into this game, and we'll get to participation levels later, what Sean McDermott has alluded to in terms of who will play, who won't play, and how much. But it doesn't seem like Cole Bishop is going to play. Although he seems to be working back from that quad injury, we've seen him working with athletic trainers. A video posted by Dom Tibbetts of WKBW and Carl Jones, also of News 4, show that he is working his way back, along with Curtis Samuel, mind you. But it doesn't appear as if either of those players are going to play on Saturday against the New York Giants. And if you ask me, I'm obviously much more worried about Cole Bishop. Curtis Samuel, a veteran player, wide receiver position, not exactly the most valuable at that position for the Bills. But Cole Bishop, expected to be a starter this season, he needs these reps, whether it be during preseason practices, whether it be during preseason games. He needs to be out there. He needs to be available. And the fact that this is his second preseason You saw him last year riding the exercise bike with one arm because his shoulder was messed up, and now his quad dealing with an issue that has kept him out for the past several practices and likely to keep him out on Saturday. I don't know how the Bills would not practice him all week and then put him out there for the first preseason game. So I don't think you'll see Cole Bishop until at least next week, when I believe the Bills joint practice with the Chicago Bears is. So you really have to raise your alarm bells a little bit with Cole Bishop and where he's going to be come week one. He hasn't been out there the past several days, as I mentioned. Really, since the pads came on is when he has started to miss some time, and it starts to raise the level of concern just due to time on task with a player that was new to the system last year. It's a very, very dynamic scheme, something that's very comprehensive and something that you really have to get down to the nitty gritty and like I said, have that time on task in order to perfect your role in the system, especially at the safety position where Sean McDermott and his coaching staff ask so much of those players. So it's not good for the second-year pro hoping to lock down a starting role, missing time once again this year, and it just it doesn't seem like things are setting up for him to lock down this starting role as it once was. It seemed as if at one point he was dead set on a highway to heck. I don't want to say highway to hell. I don't know why I use that expression, but he seemed on his way to earning the starting role until he was injured. And that's what it was all along. He could only lose that starting role if he got injured. And hey, what do you know? A quad injury has kept him out. And we've heard nothing but praises being sung for Damar Hamlin. And today it was Sean McDermott at the microphone just singing his praises, talking about how consistent he is. And it seems like the team is in a really good spot with Damar Hamlin. And it seems like Damar Hamlin is in a really good spot within this defense, not only set to move forward as the primary backup, which was kind of a competition heading into camp in and of itself. Once you realize that they were going to give the keys to the car, that's the expression I should have used, damn it, to Cole Bishop. But ever since then, it's kind of been Hamlin battling for that second role with Cam Lewis, Jordan Hancock, Derek Forrest. But now you have to think about Damar Hamlin in terms of a potential starter within the Bills defense. And with Bishop on the mend and now Taylor Rapp dealing with a knee injury that's going to keep him out a week, the oft-injured player, Damar Hamlin's chances of becoming a starter have definitely progressed forward. Now, I'm not saying that I'm projecting Damar Hamlin to be the starter week one, but the more Cole Bishop is out, I think the more that I'm going to start to go over to that side and think, hey, the Bills are going to go into the season with reliability, somebody comfortable in the system, especially knowing how critical that week one matchup could be against the Baltimore Ravens. You want a player of Cole Bishop's athleticism in that game to chase down Derrick Henry, lay the boom at the second level, make sure that Lamar Jackson doesn't get out and scamper for extra yards. But you also need that reliability within the system, and obviously that's what Damar Hamlin has to offer. And that's honestly something that Cole Bishop, I've had questions with going back to last season. I just have not been comfortable with Cole Bishop's ability in coverage, and maybe not ability because he's shown it at times, but that reliability, that consistency, ability to do it play to play to play to play. And you may see some downtimes from Damar Hamlin taking a bad angle or getting beat due to his lesser athleticism than other players. But one thing you're not going to see very often from Damar Hamlin is him being out of position in this defense. And I think that is something you need heading into that matchup with the Baltimore Ravens come September 7th, I believe. So I'll close out this conversation about the safety position like this. I understand why the team is trying to thrust Cole Bishop into a starting role. Makes perfect sense. You draft him in the second round. You expect him to come in here and latch on as a first teamer. But at the same time, what has he done to give you confidence that he can take that role and run with it the way that you've expected him to? And these injuries, quite honestly, point the other way, that he can't take this opportunity and run with it. So I think the longer we go here, the more of a chance is that Damar Hamlin is the starting safety. And I don't think people want to hear it. I don't think that's anything that Bills Mafia is looking forward to, but it very well could be the reality coming up here in a few weeks and months. Talking myself hoarse here. No guest today. Had Stevie Johnson yesterday. Going to have a couple of guests for the pregame and postgame before the Bills-Giants game. Going to have Anthony Prohaska of Cover One and Mike Bunt of Trainwreck Sports on the pre and post, respectively. Game starts at 1 p.m. So be sure to tune in for that. And also be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Please like this post on YouTube. If you have it open on X, please just go to YouTube quickly. Like it on YouTube. It would really do me a service. Subscribe to the page as well. As Get Off My Lawn saying, if that's the case, Damar Hamlin at safety, we need to pick up someone. I'm not sure there's anyone to pick up. There aren't stars at the safety position sitting out there. So I think really what you go with the upside of Cole Bishop, or you go with the experience and the high floor of Damar Hamlin. That's the choice that the Bills are going to have to make when it comes to the safety position week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. But you have Hamlin's consistency, 2 injury-prone-ish players back there. As I mentioned, Taylor Rapp out a week with a knee injury. So you need some level of stability at the safety position, and I think Damar Hamlin provides that. And I think the team thinks that as well. Beyond Hamlin, I've been asked about Derek Forrest. I replied to a question on my X account. Just don't think he's been able to make the headway in the room. I think they like several other players better than him. I think it was going to take an injury for him to step in. And aside from Bishop, they have remained relatively healthy. So when I say an injury to one of those depth guys, whether it be Hamlin, whether it be Cam Lewis, whether it be Jordan Hancock, the rookie, I think all 3 of those players could be ahead of Derek Forrest in the pecking order at this time. So I wouldn't look for Derek Forrest to be anything more than a potential special teams contributor if they kept him in that respect. I think in terms of on-field safety play, they value Cam Lewis, they value Damar Hamlin, and perhaps value Jordan Hancock a little bit more than Derek Forrest. And we talk about Cole Bishop's injury and all the injuries that the Bills. All right, I was lost for a moment. StreamYard probs. I think that happened yesterday, too. I went down for a moment. Maybe it's my connection. I don't know. Let's check. Let's check if it's no, I'm still cooking here. Somebody give me a comment, make sure you could see me. But as I was saying, just think about this list as we move on from Cole Bishop in the safety position, talking about other injuries. Think about this list courtesy of the Buffalo News, Jay Skursky. The number of missed practices by player this training camp for the Bills. It's really a staggering amount. 11 players missed practice today on Thursday. The number of missed practice. All right, sorry. I had to check on Twitter if I was still going. None of you could comment. Thanks to the 6 people watching on YouTube. We're trying to build a YouTube following. We only have a couple hundred subscribers right now, but it's coming on fast and furious, and very much appreciative of you people. I made a comment on Twitter the other day. I wouldn't piss on people if they were on fire. That was about the haters. You loyal people, I love you. I would never do that to you. Find some water, put you out. But the list, 11 players missed practice today. But the list of players who have missed practice, whether it be due to injury or otherwise, James Cook, due to his contract, has missed 4. Max Hairston, due to a knee injury, has missed 6. Khalil Shakir, due to an ankle injury, 4. Cole Bishop, due to his quad injury, 6. Curtis Samuel, due to his hamstring injury, 9 practices. Tyler Bass, due to his pelvic area soreness, 8 practices missed. Taylor Rapp now missed a practice. Dorian Strong, for the first time today, was out of practice. Unknown there. Sean McDermott did not include Dorian Strong in his pre-practice injury rundown. So that'll be something to monitor. The rookie has been coming along nicely, but misses practice on Thursday. He joins the list. Tylen Grable, now in concussion protocol, as he joins the list on Thursday. Shaq Thompson, the veteran linebacker who seemed to be making some headway in that backup linebacker room, especially with Balin Spector being waived injured. He's missed 4 practices with a hamstring injury. Rookie wide receiver Caden Prather, 8 practices missed with a hamstring injury. Alec Anderson, knee injury, 7 practices missed. Boy, that happened quick. Cedric Van Pran Granger, 12 practices missed. Believe all 12 with his calf injury. It's been unbelievable. The war of attrition has started in training camp for the Bills. This is out of the norm for the Bills to sustain this many injuries, and it doesn't appear most of them are extended injuries. They've already gotten a few guys back, and it's not as bad as it sounds there all in all, but still 11 guys out on Thursday. Oh my. There's no rest for the weary in terms of the Bills on the waiver wire. They've been working guys out, bringing guys in. Charlo, the Army captain at linebacker yesterday, brought him in as they got rid of Balin Spector. So a lot of injuries for the Bills, and Tyler Bass still out, the kicker. Sean McDermott did say that the team worked out a kicker, but no news on whether or not they've signed one quite yet in preparation for that game against the Giants. There were some reports that Bass was moving around a little bit more on the practice field on Thursday, so perhaps he'll be able to go out there and at the very least kick some extra points, work his way back. But I'm not sure you want to put him out there with a full-blown rush coming at him. You do have Ray Davis listed as the backup kicker on the depth chart, and he was tweeting about that today, Raymond Davis on Twitter. McDermott also joked about that today. Hey, the more you can do. The more you can do. Travis Hunter might not be the only two-way player in the NFL, folks. Ray Davis, the backup kicker for the Bills. Running back extraordinaire. 2 of 3 from short range during the return of the blue and red. Maybe we see him again on Saturday. But we know that we will not see Josh Allen on Saturday. He has been declared out by Sean McDermott. Not sure if we'll see him at all during the preseason. Sean McDermott has not ruled him out for the entirety of the preseason, but my guess is we won't see him at all, and we shouldn't see him. In the past, preseason performance has not dictated anything with Josh Allen. He missed the entirety of the preseason, I believe, that 2020 year when it was canceled due to COVID, and might have been his best season. 2021, I don't think he played at all. Another great year. So, Josh Allen not playing on Saturday, probably not playing throughout the preseason. Some others will. Sean McDermott did say that the Bills starters will play about a quarter. Just not sure which ones will play. And if you ask me, along with Josh Allen, you don't need to see Trey White. You don't need to see Joey Bosa. You don't need to see Matt Milano at all this preseason. And the offensive linemen you need to see very sparingly. Maybe you need to see White. Maybe I could understand that. Try to get his legs under him. Team starting cornerback. Get some game reps. But with his injury history, I really want to see him hit the field for the first time week 1. If something's going to happen to Trey White, allow it to be in the regular season, not during preseason football. So that's the list that I don't want to see at all during the preseason. I bet you'll see a number of injured players that have been on the injury list. I mentioned Cole Bishop, Curtis Samuel, likely to get the night off as well. And then 1 quarter of play for the starters. That's likely going to amount to about 2 drives, 3 at the very most. Hey, maybe it's only 1 drive. So, speaking of week 1, there was some good news on the injury front. May have already said this. Khalil Shakir will be back by week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. Per Sean McDermott said that that's what's been communicated to him by his medical staff. So, good news for the Bills' top wide receiver from a year ago, coming off that high ankle sprain sustained at the return of the blue and red. It does appear as if he is on track to play week 1. I'm not sure if we'll see him at 100%, though, and that could spell trouble. You saw the Bills against the Ravens last year with Shakir on the mend, and they weren't the same offense. Didn't have the easy button throws over the middle. They've been working on those with other receivers this training camp. I've mentioned that with players like Elijah Moore. But Khalil Shakir is as key as they come on this Bills offense, and they need him out there in whatever capacity come week 1. But as far as the preseason game is concerned, you just need to stay healthy. You need to get out of this game without any major injury on either side of the ball. You can't lose anybody of significance. And that's why I find it so imperative to keep those injury-prone players out of these preseason games. It's one thing if you put a player like, I could understand Josh Allen playing a few snaps. He's an iron horse, never gets hurt. Joey Bosa, Matt Milano, Trey White, they're the antithesis of that. They always get hurt. Don't put them on the field. Most intriguing thing about this preseason game, probably the QB2 battle. Mitch Trubisky getting the start. Mike White nipping on his heels throughout training camp. I haven't seen much from Trubisky. I haven't seen much from White either, but a little bit more from White, I think. And I think I could trust White a little bit more in a late game scenario, come in for a drive or two, lead the team to a big touchdown. I like his guts and moxie a little bit more than Mitch Trubisky. Trubisky's played a little bit more big game football, but I like me some Mike White. So that's how I see things. It'll be Trubisky likely against the Giants rookie Jackson Dart, who reportedly will play for the Giants. That's really all that's been revealed in terms of Brian Daboll's plans for this game, and he'll, of course, return to Buffalo. Josh Allen was asked about that today, said he's excited to see his guy. Other position battles to keep an eye on for the Bills. Back end of the wide receiver position with Christian Wilkerson, Tyrell Shavers, Jalen Virgil, KJ Hamler, among others. Also, depth at cornerback behind Tre'Davious White and Christian Benford. I think this is Dane Jackson time, his time to prove it. Jamarcus Ingram as well. I think Jamarcus Ingram, from my perspective, has had a rough camp. I think you need to see something from him come preseason and prove that he's a gamer and it was just practice and there's more to it there. Dorian Strong missed practice on Thursday. We'll see if he's healthy for Saturday. He needs these game reps. I think it's going to take a while for Dorian Strong to really, truly figure things out at the NFL level, but I think he's got NFL starter written all over him. A year or two, it'll be tough to keep him off the field if things can go right health-wise. Also, the defensive line, you expect the rookies to get a lot of run. TJ Sanders, Deion Walker, I expect them to be playing alongside one another quite a bit in this game. That'll be something fun for the fans to watch if one or both of them can get in for a sack or two. But that may be the most exciting thing to watch for this game, other than potentially Ray Davis out there kicking some field goals. As far as practice on Saturday, it was a light practice, getaway day. Practice ended at about 11 o'clock as opposed to 11:45 when it typically concludes. Weren't many highlights except another Matt Milano sighting, and I love me some Matt Milano. I think he could be the best player on this defense. Going that bold with Matt Milano. Hot take. I think he's got it this year. Stay healthy, Matt Milano, and he could be such a key cog in the middle of this defense. But before we get out of here, I appreciate everybody for joining in. Quiet crowd today, which I understand. Thursday, everybody looking forward to the weekend. But I'll leave you with this. The Bills depart St. John Fisher. And all I can say is just really what a great job that I think the players did interacting with the fans this year. I was there for several days, and to see the smiles on so many young kids' faces, really, I thought they brought such joy to some special needs, children as well, and just people in need of a bright day. And sometimes people don't realize what one day can really do for somebody and really take their mind away from some of the stuff that's going on in their life. And I think the Bills, that's the best part about the Bills, is they can really, for fans, just take all the worries away for even just a short time and really take you to a different world of gumdrops and rainbows and just everything happy. And Josh Allen is at the forefront of that. He's just incredible, the way that he makes sure to interact with so many people and the way that he remembers their names and their faces and what they are interested in. It's just incredible. And he took his annual lap around the field as well today, high-fiving everybody along the fence. Another great tradition. Also interacted with Nate, the golf guy, gave him some Ryder Cup tickets. That was the viral post today. I think Matt Beauvais from WKBW got a good view of that. The fun-loving, I think, YouTube golfer presented with some Ryder Cup tickets, which is in New York this year. And Josh Allen said, as the New York team, why not hand out some Ryder Cup tickets? But I know a lot of this is staged PR. They put kids in the right position to get the interaction with the players, and they put the cameras in the right position as well. A lot of it is manufactured, a lot of it. But the interactions that Josh Allen has with these kids, those are as genuine as they come. So the setup to get the two parties linked together may be manufactured and done for the camera's sake, but Josh Allen can take these children and these fans and bring them into a whole different world, and it's so special to see. So I leave you with that on this episode of Buffalo Pregame, and thank you for joining me. It's about 3:55 on Thursday, so I got out before 4 p.m. I'll have another post up on my Substack account either later tonight or tomorrow. Buffalo Pregame with Alex Brasky on Substack. Please subscribe. It would really, really be a big help. It doesn't take much. All you have to do is fill it out with your email. You'll get free emails sent to you via my newsletter with every post that I put out there. You can read it in your email. You can click through to the app. Very convenient and very much free for you, the fan. Also, please subscribe and like this post on YouTube. That's the biggest thing you could do for us. Subscribe and like here on YouTube. Also, wherever you get your audio, on Apple, Spotify, Alex Brasky with Buffalo Pregame with Alex Brasky. But as I said before, thank everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time.